welcome, Devil Sniper here, and today I'm bringing you our transfer targets. Yes, our transfer targets. We're going to have a quick look at a few of the players who we are targeting. There's 6 players, and potentially out of these 6 players, I would like to bring in maybe 1 to 3 players. So I'll be happy with just bringing in 1 player, I'll be happy bringing in a couple of players, and I'll be extremely happy to bring in 3 players if possible, if the budget will extend that much. Obviously, I want to still save some money, and not just that, I want to target the right player. So where we're going to be looking at to begin with, we'll have a look at the strikers who we've got earmarked as potential players who could come in and change our season, change the second part of our season, and hopefully lead us to glory in the FA Cup, lead us to glory in the EFL Cup, lead us to glory in the league. Would be absolutely fantastic. So the first player up is Carlos Bacca. Now, this lad plays for AC Milan. He's aged 30, obviously a striker. His valuation is round about the 30 million mark. Obviously, he was linked to West Ham in real life. This is not based on real life, so don't panic, don't worry about it. But Bacca is a player who's, he's a good finisher. The boy is a good finisher, and he could be the difference. The only thing that's against him, obviously, is his age being 30 and the transfer value being around about 30 million. I believe we could pick him up for about 22 mil, but I think in some ways it could be a bit too much. But we'll just have to see. But he's a decent target to have. We've then got Chicharito. Yes, Javier Hernandez at Leverkusen, 28 years old, valuation around about 15 million. Obviously, I think it would take a little bit more than 15 million to bring him to us. And I'll be honest, he is a clinical finisher. He's the predator in the box that could change our season. We've had so many opportunities up top and we've wasted them. If we had that sort of predator in the box, the fox in the box as such, we could have been literally points clear, up 10, 15 points clear at the top of the table without a shadow of a doubt. And finally, we'll be looking at Raul Jimenez. Yes, Raul Jimenez. Currently at Benfica. I believe he's the most expensive Mexican player of all time. He costs Benfica something like 22 million euros from Atletico Madrid. He's 25 years old, so he's the perfect age out of all 3 of them. He's still going to hit his prime, 27, 28. He's still got a lot to offer, and I think we could pick him up for a decent value. At the moment, there's still rumours of about 19 million squid, which is quite a lot of money, but I would like to try and get him a bit cheaper if it's feasibly possible. We just have to wait and see. But next we're going to move on to some midfielders, and you'll probably be surprised by some of the lads that we're actually looking at and want to bring in. But I want to bring these lads in, or a couple of these lads if possible, because they're for the future as well. They're not just for the now. They're not just to get us out of a tricky situation. I feel we've got a lot of decent players at this moment in time in the midfield area, but I feel that these players can add and potentially be replacement for some of the players that we currently have. Obviously, Kare, as you know, is going to be leaving the club, so there is a gap coming. Obviously, we've got players like Edmilson Fernandez who deserve a shot, to be honest, but does he really suit that CDM role? Probably not. He suits that role further forward. I'll be honest, when Dimitri sort of does leave the club or decides to leave the club, in the next 2-3 years when he's 33ish, 34ish, etc., Edmilson Fernandez has got to be the one, but you've still got Lanzini as well, so we've got plenty going forward. It's the defensive-minded midfielders. We're going to start off first off with Gaston Guillermo, a good-looking young lad. Estudiantes is who he plays for, 23 years old. He can play that CDM, that CM role, currently valuated at around 5 million. I have made some key notes on him. I'll be honest, for the defensive midfielders, I have gone a little bit above and beyond and made some sort of key notes. As you know, he can play centre midfield, box-to-box type midfielder, a ball-winning midfielder. As I said, he plays for Estudiantes. His nationality is Argentinian. He is a proper good little player. He's got good defensive awareness and positioning. He's got good concentration. He's got great composure. He makes good decisions and anticipation of picking up passes and anticipation of movement as well. He's really. For me, he's a little bit underrated. He is 23. He's the oldest of the 3 midfielders and one that I am seriously looking at. I think if we could pick him up a little bit cheaper than 5 mil, I'd be extremely happy. Next up, while I just get my notes, I do apologise, you can probably hear me in the background, is Andreas Cubas, or Adrien Cubas. This lad plays for Boca Juniors. He's 20 years old. He's a CDM, a CM. He's He's like a playmaker, a free-roaming playmaker, but with the defensive side of his game. He'll sit back and he'll just dictate the game from the back, just in front of the back four. He is fantastic. A deep line playmaker, that's what I'm looking for. So as I say, he plays for Boca Juniors, Argentinian. You know, valuation again around about 5 million. As soon as European clubs go in, you know, the money goes up, unfortunately. But this boy is a hard-working defensive midfielder for me. He's capable of defending and creating opportunities from deep, as I said, with that deep line playmaker sort of attitude. You know, he's a great little passer. He's got great technique. He's got good vision, great composure, and again, he has great anticipation for the ball moving forward and for interception and anticipation of players making runs around him. And I've got to be honest, for me, he's like a little magician in front of your back four, and a player I'm really looking forward to trying to buy. Now, don't get me wrong, he obviously gives away a little bit in size and headers, but he makes up for that for you know, for sitting back, being able to cut out passes and being able to dictate play from that position. So, you know, he has his pluses and minuses, and I think if you get the right player next to him, he could be phenomenal. And for me, that right player could be Santiago Ascibar. Now, this lad, again, Estudiantes, he's 19. You know, he can play a range of positions, CDM, CM. You know, he's right-footed. This lad, for me, is probably my #1 target. 6 million quid does put me off a little bit, unfortunately, but I think we could pick him up a bit cheaper. I'd like to think we could pick him up a bit cheaper. As I say, he plays for Estudiantes. They've got a fantastic youth system. You'd be surprised some of the players they've brought through that youth system, to be honest. At this current moment in time, he's linked with the likes of Real Sociedad, Atletico Madrid. It's no surprise the Argentinians are always linked with La Liga. And the sort of player that he reminds me of is like think of a skinnier version of Gattuso. That's the best way I could describe it. You know, this lad's got so many strengths for me. He's got pace, he's got acceleration, he's a determined player, he's got good passing, he's great at tackling, interception, he's got agility, you know, he's got bravery, he's got teamwork. He is like the ultimate CDM for me personally, and as I say, he can play that CM role. You know, his characteristics are, you know, he's just determined. He's like a midfield destroyer. He's energetic, he's consistent, he's aggressive, he's hard tackling. Obviously, with the hard tackling, does lead to he picks up a lot of silly yellow cards. Which is understandable if you're going to play like that style. You know, he's got fantastic stamina. He's got extremely high work rates. He's fantastic at the short passes. The long passes, he's not so good at, but I don't want him to be spraying the ball 30, 40, 50, 60 yards. I want him to be playing that integrated tiki-taka, knock it about, and with Kubas next to him, that could be a phenomenal midfield partnership, and I think one for the future. Obviously, you know, as I say, the only way I can really describe him, the only way I can really think of him is like a Gattuso. He really is like Gattuso. That's the only player that springs to mind that he really reminds me of, and yeah, he's just absolutely fantastic. Now, I did say Estudiantes, and you'll be surprised some of the players that they brought through their academy. I'll reel off just a couple of players who are phenomenal, and one player I liked for years and years, and he actually got to play in the Premier League, and that was one Sebastian Veron. What a player he was. You've got Jose Sosa, Pablo Pietta, you know, just a couple of names to reel off of fantastic players Estudiantes have developed. You know, when you think Veron, do you know what I mean? Estudiantes is brilliant. And I think to myself, Santiago, just that little Gattuso player, he could be the one that really makes a massive change to us and brings in a lot of quality. Anyway, I have harped on too much. Hopefully you've enjoyed the transfer targets. These are the targets I really want to concentrate on. Hopefully the targets that I can bring in. Anyway, until next time, until the transfer review, I will catch you later.